Welcome to the AI for Technical Writers podcast. This is episode 112.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fred.
And I'm Daphne. Today, we're looking into, well, really the future of knowledge work. We're diving into some recent, pretty high-stakes conversations with OpenAI CEO Sam Altman.
That's right. The idea is to figure out what his insights mean for us, for technical documentation, for IT workflows, and just how knowledge-based roles might change.
Exactly. And we should mention this whole review was actually suggested by our producer, senior technical writer Curt Robbins. He pointed us towards some key interviews.
Yep. We've pulled stuff from Cleo Abrams' piece. Sam Altman shows me GPT-5. And what's next? Also the Tucker Carlson interview, which covered a lot of ground.
God, Elon Musk, some heavy topics there.
Right. And also the A16's chat about Sora energy needs, building this AI empire. So a good mix.
Okay, so let's start with just the speed of everything. Altman calls this moment a profound technological shift. Big words.
Yeah, and he backs it up almost immediately with this claim about GPT-4, the tool so many of us are using right now.
The one that's already, better than 90% of humans on things like the SAT, GRE, even coding tests?
Exactly that one. He says point blank that GPT-4 is the dumbest model anyone will ever use again.
Wow, the dumbest. So if that's the dumbest, it really reframes where we are, doesn't it?
Totally. It makes GPT-4 feel like just the starting block, not the finish line.
So what's next then? GPT-5. What did he seem most excited about there, especially for, technical folks?
Coding.
Yeah.
Hands down. A huge improvement in coding capabilities.
Okay, how so?
Well, he gave this anecdote. He asked an early version of GPT-5 to make a game, like Snake on an old TI-83 calculator.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
Right. And he said GPT-5 created it perfectly in like 7 seconds.
7 seconds for a whole game.
Perfectly. And then, this is the key part, he started just talking to it, adding features, like add points or change the color.
Yeah.
And the code just updated instantly.
Whoa. So the barrier between just having an idea and seeing it work just kind of melts away.
Pretty much. That's the big takeaway, especially for technical writers or domain experts who aren't, hardcore programmers. He said it makes non-coders feel like they can do anything.
You can express complex stuff without needing a developer as a translator, sort of democratizing prototyping.
Exactly, which leads right into how workflows might change. If coding is that easy, what does it do to our thinking process day to day?
Yeah, he talked about that tension, didn't he? Is AI an escape hatch for thinking? Does it make us lazy?
Or is it a tool that people are actually using to think more than ever before?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the calculator debate all over again, but maybe on steroids.
Right. But there's a specific risk he mentioned, this work slop problem. I like that term.
Me too. It captures it perfectly. That AI output that looks polished, looks professional.
Looks totally authoritative.
But it's actually kind of generic or subtly wrong or just low effort.
Mm-hmm.
And cleaning it up creates more work.
Yeah, I read somewhere that the cleanup time averages nearly 2 hours per incident. That's huge.
It is. For documentation, imagine getting a procedure that looks right, but is slightly off. You could spend more time debugging the AI's output than just writing it correctly yourself from the start.
Okay, so that's the downside. But the flip side is this vision of, hyper-efficiency.
Oh, yeah. Remember when the big talk was about the first one-person billion-dollar company?
Sure.
Now he's seriously talking about a zero-person company, launched entirely from a chat prompt.
0 person.
Yeah.
That's hard to even picture. It implies certain jobs just vanish at the starting gate.
He acknowledges that. He said some classes of jobs will totally go away. But interestingly, he frames it optimistically, especially for young people.
How so?
He thinks someone who's, say, 22 right now, they're entering maybe the luckiest time in history to go invent something.
Because the tools lower the barrier to creation.
Exactly. The technical skill needed to start is lower, but the potential impact, the expected output, is way higher. It's an interesting dynamic.
Still assumes people can navigate that work slop and jump straight to invention, though. That's a big leap for many.
It is. Definitely a high bar.
Okay, interesting stuff. Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Curt Robbins.
Hi, this is Curt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the AI for Technical Writers podcast.
All right, before the break, we were talking about GPT-5, coding, work slop, the immediate impacts. Let's zoom out a bit now to the bigger picture. The race to AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Yeah, and the real-world challenges OpenAI is facing trying to get there. Patrick Collison from Stripe asked Altman a really good question on this.
What was that?
Basically, when will a general AI make a significant scientific discovery? Not just solving a known problem, but something genuinely new.
Okay, that's a benchmark. What did Altman say?
His estimate is, well, pretty soon. He thinks most people will agree it's happened sometime between early 2025 and late 2027.
Wow, that's next year potentially. So moving beyond quick tasks to really complex long-term thinking.
Exactly, from one-minute tasks to conquering 1,000-hour tasks that need sustained reasoning.
So what's stopping us from getting there tomorrow? What are the bottlenecks?
He laid out 4 main ones. The first is just raw compute power.
Right, the chips, GPUs.
Yeah. The world wants way more AI than the current infrastructure can deliver. So they're focused on building compute at a much greater scale. Think moving from millions of GPUs towards billions. It's a huge infrastructure project.
Okay, compute. What's number 2?
Data. And this one's fascinating. Models like GPT-4 have basically read the internet, read all the textbooks.
They've absorbed existing human knowledge.
Right. So now, to get smarter, they need to learn things that aren't in any existing data set. They need to figure out new stuff.
Move from synthesis to actual discovery. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And number 3.
Algorithmic design. Finding the next big breakthrough in how the models actually learn and reason. They're looking for efficiencies that give you many more orders of magnitudes of algorithmic gains.
Smarter software, not just faster hardware.
Precisely. And the fourth bottleneck is products. You can have the best science in the lab, but it needs to get out into the world.
Into tools people can actually use so it can evolve based on real-world feedback.
Exactly. It needs to co-evolve with society.
Which kind of brings us to things like Sora, right? The video model.
Yeah, good point. Sora isn't just cool tech for making videos. It's relevant to AGI because to make realistic videos, the AI has to build really good world models. It has to understand physics, how things interact.
How the world works.
Right. It's a step towards deeper understanding.
Okay, so that leads us to the really tricky stuff. Trust, getting things right, morality. Especially important for documentation, the hallucination problem.
Huge issue. Altman did draw a distinction between hallucination and, intentionally lying.
How did he define hallucination?
He described it as the model generating something factually wrong, but that seems plausible based on the patterns in its data. It's like a mathematical probability thing gone wrong.
So inventing a specific date for a policy or maybe a historical figure's birth year, that sounds about right, but isn't.
Exactly that kind of thing. And he did say GPT-5 is making significant strides in reducing that internal inconsistency, which is good news.
Definitely. But then there's the harder problem, truth versus facts. NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, brought this up. Facts are objective, sure, but truth can be personal, cultural.
Yeah, that's the massive challenge for a global AI. How do you build one system that works across different value systems? Altman was clear. OpenAI can't just hard code one moral framework.
Just what do they do?
They use what they call a model spec. They work with hundreds of moral philosophers to define the absolute boundaries. Don't teach someone how to build a bioweapon, that kind of thing.
Okay, setting the guardrails.
Right. And then they try to make the AI reflect the collective moral view of that user base rather than, say, his own personal views or the company's views. It's meant to be adaptive.
Which ties into personalization, right? He mentioned enhanced memory.
Yeah, apparently that's been surprisingly successful. The AI can learn about your specific context, your values, your culture, your past conversations.
And that makes the interaction feel very different for each person.
Really, really different, was his phrase. Even using the same underlying model, that personalization layer changes the experience significantly, helps it adapt globally.
That adaptability is impressive, but it also highlights potential issues, maybe policy gaps. Which brings us to the final thought he left us with.
Ah, yes, AI privilege. This was maybe the most important policy change he wants to see.
Explain that. What is AI privilege?
Think about doctor-patient confidentiality or lawyer-client privilege. Right now, if you tell an AI about your sensitive medical history or a really personal mental health issue or a complex legal problem,
that conversation isn't legally protected in the same way.
generally no. A government or maybe another third party could potentially subpoena those chat logs. He's arguing for a similar kind of legal protection for those deeply personal AI conversations.
Like a digital confessional needing the same sanctity.
Exactly. Which leaves you, the listener, with a pretty immediate question, doesn't it? Until or unless that kind of privilege exists, how much of your most private, sensitive information are you comfortable sharing with these systems, even if they are incredibly useful?
That's a really crucial point to consider as these tools become more integrated into our lives. Food for thought.
Definitely.
Thank you for listening to the AI for Technical Writers podcast, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you next week.